Hi, welcome to our BT3103 final project. I'm Tony Tong, and in our group we have Chen Yiwen, Wang Zejia, and Ji Jieyi. In this project called ViewNUS, we are building a centralized review platform for NUS students. To show our entire process, first we brainstormed any potential problems current students were facing. Next, we then tried to validate it by asking surveys and interviews to NUS students. Next, we constructed a prototype, then validated the prototype again with the same students, and finally did an improved version of our project. In the first section, we decided to brainstorm by finding out what existing problems students were facing in school. One of the common problems that constantly came up was the lack of information with regards to taking modules next semester. Currently, there's very limited access to official reviews. For example, even on NUS modules, which is a very popular platform for organizing module information, there's very little information available for students to learn from. Based on our research at that time, we came up with possible reasons for these problems and actions to address them. Apart from the lack of a large volume of reviews, we found it hard to incentivize students to give back review feedback from modules they have taken in the past. Lastly, there's also a lack of a one-stop platform for all these reviews to allow it to be easy for students to see all the information at one place. Hence, we decided that the vision for ViewNUS was to utilize all the review data NUS has already collected to create a one-stop dashboard that makes it easy for students to decide whether to take a new module or not. Next up, I'll pass my time to Jieyi, who will be doing the brainstorming portion.
Thank you, Tony. So, in order to validate whether the challenge we focus is a common needs among our peers, we conducted interviews to understand the needs better and to gather more ideas that would help us to build our app. So the following questions were asked to understand what students are expecting from module reviews and some key factors that can affect their choice of module. We'll go through the interview results next. After speaking to 30 students across various faculties ranging from computing, engineering, and science, we compiled our findings. When deciding top factors that influence choices of modules to take, a lot of students are concerned about whether they can fulfill their graduation requirements or prerequisite requirement and minimize timetable clashes. Apart from these factors, they are highly specific to personal schedules. Students are also concerned about seniors' feedback, workload, and bell curve of each module. These pieces of information can only be answered by students who have taken the module before, and we can see that reviews from past students do affect the module choices of students. We can see over 50% of our students' decision-making factors for taking a module depends on information that are mainly passed down via reviews, thus validating the needs for reviews. Okay, the next question. When we asked students whether NUS Mods is a platform they find reviews, 67% responded with yes, stating reasons like the platform is the only place with few reviews and probably the only online source for reviews on workload and all. On the other hand, 33% of students we interviewed would not check NUS Mods, as there are a lot of missing reviews for modules and generally outdated. These issues are raised by students who answered yes for this reason as well. So students rather asked friends who took the module before for reliable and updated information. From here, we can see that the need for a centralized review portal is common, and students do seek for updated information about the modules they want to take. And we interview students what are the top questions they were asked if they knew someone who has taken the module before, to understand the aspects that module reviews can possibly address. From the result, most students are concerned about grading and bell curves of the module, followed by teaching mode and teaching quality. So from this input, we can then incorporate these elements into our ViewNUS application to address their needs. So then, I will pass my time to Yiwen, who will be giving us the first demo of our prototype.
Thank you, Jieyi. So from the first round of interview, we then make use of the data we had in hand to first construct version 1 prototype. And here is a slide demo of like what we had back then. So we have a few dashboards built, namely number of reviews by academic years, overall sentiments towards the module, and the difficulty level of the module, as well as overall opinion for the modules. These are the highly aggregated quantitative data that we had. And finally, we have a word cloud about the qualitative review that's given by the students. From them, we use this version 1 of our prototype, and then we interviewed the same 30 students to collect more feedbacks. Below are the questions that we asked. For the first two questions, it's more of a validation of the whole concept of our ViewNUS app to see whether students will be willing to use this app to search for reviews for the modules, and whether the app addresses those needs for students to get holistic assessment of the modules. And for the last two questions, it was more specific to whether the information on our apps is actually relevant and what other information is critical to the students but yet missing on our app. From the result, for the first question, we can see whether the student will use this app to search for review for their module, and the majority, which is like 82% of the student we interviewed, responded yes. Reason being, there are actually non-existing centralized platforms with module reviews, and students in NUS actually don't have access to formal review data that's collected by school, as the review data is meant for maybe the professor and the faculty. And also the dashboard format that we used in our first version prototype is easy to understand for the students that were interviewed across different courses. They all responded. Most of them mentioned that dashboard format is easy to understand, and 18% of them actually responded no for this question. Reason being that they are uncertain of the official reviews quality, because as you know, students tend to just respond more skewed towards the positive side of reviews when giving official reviews. For the next question, does the app address your needs to get holistic assessment of modules? Majority of the students agree that the app actually provides different perspectives offered by students, and also there is a piece of sensitive but crucial data on our app, which is the expected grade that actually most of the students don't have access to. And this app does help prepare module plan and balance workload when students try to prepare the timetable and which modules to take for the next semester. And the rest of the students were uncertain of the quality and quantity of reviews available, and they realized that if there are very little reviews available or the quality is just not very truthful, it wouldn't be as helpful. So their concern would be the quality and quantity of the review. Regarding the specific pieces of information on our app, 94% of the students feel that the overall sentiment is really something new but meaningful for the students to see, because as students, we can ask seniors or our friends who have taken the module, but to get an overall opinion for a module on our own is extremely challenging. Same applies to the data for overall difficulty. So for the student who said no, some of them responded that the number of reviews by academic year is redundant, because the count we don't really need the specific count of reviews as like the first thing that we see on the app. So in the following version, we'll consider removing this dashboard. So our last question would be, what other information about a module would be helpful but not included on our app? A lot of students saying that since NUS might have the data for actual grade and expected grade, we want they wanted to see a comparison between these two to see whether the perceived difficulty by students match up with the actual difficulty, which is the actual grade that the student get at the end. Also, students are concerned about the bidding point. Previously, as for business analytics students, we didn't really feel the pain of having to balance our bidding points for modules because our cohort is relatively small and the competition for modules is not that it's not very serious in the sense we can just get the modules with 1 or 2 bidding points. But from the review of other courses, they did say that bidding point is an important component, so we will consider adding that as well, and the professor teaching the module will make a difference. So we will try to check whether the data is available for all these components. And now I'll pass the time to Zejia to explain, to show you our updated prototype.
Thank you, Yiwen. Next, I'll go through our updated prototype based on the feedbacks we gathered through the second round of user interviews. So this is the homepage of our website, which has the main function is a drop-down search button, which allows students to search by the module code. And for example, in this case, if I click into BT3103, this will direct me to the page where it shows all the information we gathered for BT3103. On top of it is the module overview, which covers what's the module description, and this is a feedback that we gathered from the interviews, which students say that they want to have a summary of what this module is about besides the reviews that we gathered, because this will allow them to have a better understanding of what the module is about and whether they should choose this. Next, we split the reviews into 2 sections. One is the overall sentiment and another one is the difficulty level. So in the section of overall sentiment, we provide them with a brief summary of what is the sentiment of other students towards this module. So if you see on the left is a speedometer which shows the current sentiment score of this module. 0 indicates that it's very bad and 10 indicates that it's excellent. This allows students to have an idea of how other students who took this module before view the module. And on the right of this, it also shows the breakdown of the overall opinion of other students, which ranges from poor, unsatisfactory, satisfactory, good, and excellent. We added this into the visualization because we besides just an overall score of the sentiment, the breakdown of other students' reviews will allow future students to have a better understanding. And on top of that, we also have 2 word clouds which shows what do students like and what do students dislike about this module. Before we conducted the second round of user interviews, we combined this into a word cloud which shows what the students say about the module. But from the reviews, from the feedback that we gathered, students say that they would want to see the good reviews and the bad reviews separately. That's why we have separated the word clouds into 2, which one shows what's the good feedback of the modules and another one shows what's the bad reviews of the module, which will looking at the common words that other students say about the module, it will allow them to make a better decision. And the next section is about the difficulty level of the module, which we also have an overall difficulty score to indicate whether this module is rated as easy or very difficult. And also its score range from 0 to 10, which has allows students to have to gauge what is the difficulty level as perceived by other students. And on the right, we also have the expected grade that students input in the official reviews, which indicates whether this also provides us a sense of whether they feel this module is easy, which they are most likely to get A, or whether it's very hard, which they are more likely to get C or D. Yeah, and based on the feedback that we gathered, we are going to add in the expected grade versus actual grade that students get to have a better judgment of whether to have a better judgment whether the difficulty level of this module is justifiable. Thank you.